It has been a long time in the making and also a very long wait to check out the 2025 Lincoln Nautilus, an SUV that's won awards for crossover of the year, an SUV that has been receiving a lot of high praise lately from journalists. If you're like me and you grew up in the 90s, Lincoln was near the end of its golden age, because right around that time the Germans took over and they haven't looked back over the past 25 years, if not more. But here we are in 2025 with the Lincoln Nautilus and an SUV that might just be the best luxury crossover in its segment and also might be the best Lincoln made in the 21st century. In today's video, we're going to check out what the Lincoln Nautilus has to offer, not only with the exterior, but the interior as well, which we have a lot to say about that because the new technology, also the driving environment, very grand for an SUV from Lincoln, but also what about that driving experience? Well, you've come to the right place. We're going to do a very in-depth look at this crossover, see how it compares to its rivals, and also to see if you are someone looking for a luxury first SUV, you want a luxury crossover that does feel upscale, that feels much more premium than the price tag suggests, then maybe taking a look at the 2025 Lincoln Nautilus might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Gervais Lincoln in Lowell, Massachusetts for letting me come down here to check out the Lincoln Nautilus. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Lincoln inventory. So as always, let's begin with that pricing. For 2025 with the Lincoln Nautilus we have today, this is the Reserve coming in at just over $61,000. This is the middle trim in the lineup with the black label being all out at $75,000. And when you look at that $14,000 price gap, you might go with the Reserve at the end of the day. Now our model is the Reserve 3, so we'll talk about this when we check out the interior. That gets us close to $70,000, giving us a lot of creature comforts and amenities that is found in that black label. But for Lincoln though, regardless of trim, it really boils down to what this vehicle has to offer in this segment, because it is going head to head with some big rivals like that BMW X3, like that Audi Q5, Lexus RX. This model is actually quite flexible in this lineup because it is somewhat larger than some competitors in this segment. Now also for Lincoln, you have to go all in on that technology and the design. That's what buyers are looking for right now in this particular market, and I think they've nailed that for 2025 and this generation. So up front, you are going to receive full LED headlights and LED daytime running lights, with that daytime running light running through the front grille, which gives this vehicle a nice classy and upscale touch. Actually has a very premium look here for a model under $70,000. Now you're also going to notice the diamond design for that front grille, again, draws so much attention here for this vehicle. That is half the battle for Lincoln. If they can make a good looking model at a relatively affordable price point, they're already winning the game here. For the lower portion of the front bumper, you're going to notice some more brushed aluminum accents and also that grille design, so it gives you some continuity here for this vehicle. But also more surprising is the fact we have functional side air curtains, which I think is great to see. Gives this vehicle more of an aerodynamic appearance, and some manufacturers, even at this price point, give you those fake vents. So I'm glad to see that Lincoln is giving us some functional air curtains for 2025. Also noteworthy about this front fascia is that it is unique in the product line. It doesn't look like that Aviator, it doesn't look like the Corsair, and a lot of the styling elements you're going to find on that Navigator. So for a middle model in the lineup between $50,000 and $75,000, that is huge. Then as you make your way over to the side profile, there's a few things I want to point out here, because just like with the front fascia that does take some styling elements from that Navigator, with that roofline, it kind of looks like an Aviator, although it's not built on the exact same platform. So you're going to have that sportier look here with that swooping roofline, and makes this model look like it's constantly in motion. Now with the wheel package that we have here today, we have 21-inch alloy wheels, which I know a lot of you are going to be saying, all right, 21-inch wheels, that will create some road noise, isn't it? Well, I have a lot to say about that, because I think you're going to be genuinely surprised here with the Lincoln Nautilus, because it is going to be very quiet no matter what tire size you have on this vehicle. Now, you are going to have side mirror caps with turn signal indicators to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Also, you will notice a Nautilus badge on the side profile that is outlined in blue there. That lets us know that we have a hybrid powertrain under the hood. So if you are at the dealership, maybe you're in the showroom or possibly checking out the inventory in the parking lot, and you're someone who is eyeing a hybrid model for 2025, make sure you look for those blue letters on the side profile, or possibly the blue Lincoln logo up front. Also along the side profile, you're not going to have traditional door handles. They're going to be integrated into the upper portion of the door near the windows, and they're just going to have that button inside, and you can open the door nice and easily. Then as we make our way around to the back, you're going to notice the nice LED light bar that we have here. Trendy, I know it is kind of trendy in this market, but definitely draws a lot of attention. Now again, this isn't the first Lincoln to have this design. We see this with the Corsair and Aviator, but still, it does tie everything together for this model. It helps out with the body lines too, because you're going to notice the sharp body lines on the side profile, then of course that roof line. So it does look pretty sporty, but also upscale and luxurious as well. For the lower portion of the rear bumper, you're going to notice the fake exhaust outlets here, with this being a hybrid, and you're not going to have visible exhaust outlets. But all in all here, I absolutely love what the Lincoln Nautilus is offering here for this generation. It just draws your attention. It exudes a sense of class and sophistication. And for a vehicle at this price point, and for a vehicle in this very competitive and possibly oversaturated market, that is huge. Let me know what you think about this vehicle. Let me know what you think about the design, because I think this is one of the better looking vehicles in its segment and price range right now in the 2020s. Powering the Lincoln Nautilus we have today is a 2-liter turbocharged hybrid 4-cylinder engine that's helped out with dual electric motors, giving us 310 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. It is paired with an eCVT. Now you can go with a full gas-powered model, giving you 250 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque, and an 8-speed automatic transmission. By going with the Nautilus, though, you get all-wheel drive coming standard, which gives you great year-round capability and versatility. But also by going with the hybrid powertrain, you get better fuel economy at 30 miles per gallon in the city and 31 miles per gallon on the highway, for a combined average of 30 miles per gallon. So you're getting a vehicle that is efficient here at around $70,000 for our model today, but you're also getting a vehicle that's going to give you some refinement here with that electrification. So this might be the better choice when you are looking at buying a Nautilus this year. Hopping inside the Lincoln Nautilus Reserve we have today, this is the Reserve 3, which gives us a long list of features and amenities. However, to get to this point, we have to go with the Reserve 2. Let's talk about this package, catch up on everything, and that way we can come back here and we know exactly what we have for that Reserve 3. You receive features that cover pretty much everything from the exterior, the interior, and also the suspension. We're talking about that grille design, which really looks classy and draws a lot of attention. Also, full paint finish for the exterior, a panoramic moonroof, aluminum roof rails. But then you also have the adaptive suspension, leather trimmed seats. You also have the auto air refresh, digital scent, the Revel audio system with 14 speakers, and then your heated rear outboard seats. But let's talk about that Reserve 3. If that wasn't enough for you, the Reserve 3 just might do everything that you're looking for out of a vehicle at around $70,000. So for an additional $4,500 here with the Reserve 3, you get the power memory 24-way leather seats. So we're upgraded here. On top of this, they're heated, ventilated, and also massaging. We'll talk about this in a minute. Then that Revel audio system gets upgraded to 28 speakers. So if 14 speakers weren't enough for you, 28 just might do the job. And then you also have that Lincoln Rejuvenate system, which gives you a lot more comfort and also allows you to relax a bit being behind the wheel of this vehicle. So if you're someone on those longer road trips, you need to take a break here, Lincoln Rejuvenate might just rejuvenate your senses and also your energy levels. With all that being said, let's talk about the comfort for these seats. Typically for a vehicle that is primarily focused on luxury, you don't get seats that provide a lot of bolstering support. They're going to be very cushioned and comfortable, but you're not going to have that bolstering. Well, thankfully with the Nautilus, these seats kind of mold around you. They fit very well for my body frame. And I think that if you are going on longer road trips, weekday commutes, or running errands, you're going to find yourself very comfortable here. Now also, the cushioning is fantastic, not only for the bottoms of these seats, but the back and lower back, which again, gives you that sensation that these seats are molding around you. Like I said before, they're heated, ventilated, and massaging, so just adds a lot of comfort for a vehicle at around $70,000. But really though, for the Nautilus, for this generation, is the fact that you have a lot of technology here, which is brand new for the Lincoln product line, but it actually isn't new for the Ford family, because I have experienced half of this in the Ford Expedition. The Expedition had a 24-inch screen. We have a 48-inch curved screen, which does embarrass a lot of manufacturers in this market, including Cadillac. In front of you will be a full digital gauge cluster with traffic sign recognition, also your digital speedometer, and then your navigation system. Now, on the steering wheel will be touch-sensitive icons for your volume and tuning for that radio, and then on the left side of the steering wheel will control your cruise control settings and lane centering, much like we saw with that Expedition. Now, with the steering wheel though, it is power tilting and telescoping, so great to see here. Again, gives you a lot of customizability and lets you know that Lincoln is serious about being an upscale manufacturer. Now, for the second half of this digital gauge cluster that we see here, for the 48-inch curved screen, the second half can be customized through the infotainment system. We'll talk about that in a minute. With this steering wheel, no paddle shifters, not surprised at all here, especially with our model here having a CVT. But the steering wheel is shaped like we saw with that Expedition, so flat bottomed and flat topped. And I have to say, it feels very natural being behind the wheel this model and interacting with the steering wheel when you are turning and cornering on a back road. So I think you guys are going to like that for sure, even though it is kind of new and unique for a vehicle in this segment. Now, you also have Blue Cruise as well. We're not going to go over that today. We're just going to focus on what this model has to offer in regards to the creature comforts and technology. Taking a look at the infotainment system, you are going to receive an 11-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility, but this is going to be Google built-in software, giving you Google Play Store, Google Assistant, and Google Maps. If this looks familiar, it is offered in the Expedition and also the Ford Explorer. So we're acclimated with this screen, but for those of you who aren't, let's dive right into it. So you're going to say, all right, no physical buttons on the dashboard. This is going to be difficult to use. Actually, really not at all. At the bottom of the screen will be quick access icons for your dual zone climate control up front, AC, front and rear defrosters, fan speed, fan direction, your heated and ventilated front seats, and heated steering wheel. So everything is within arm's reach of the driver. Now, on the left side of the screen will be quick access icons once again for your home screen, but then also your vehicle settings. So from here, you have your drive modes, ambient lighting, traction control, digital scent, which Lincoln is telling me nothing is loaded into the cartridges. I disagree, because this vehicle or the interior has a very distinct smell to it, which is very classy in my opinion. Then your valet mode, vehicle status, and then of course vehicle settings, which you can scroll through all this on your own time and at your own discretion. And like we see with every other Google built-in software head unit in this market, you have a tab with all your widgets in place for your Maps, Play Store, Google Assistant, the rejuvenation mode, your phone, AM, FM, Sirius XM, of course, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and then lastly will be your YouTube tab. You can watch YouTube videos from this screen when you are stationary. But while we're here, let's access rejuvenation mode here, because I think this is pretty cool. You can choose between a 5-minute or 10-minute cycle. And let's just go over the 5 minutes. I don't have 5 minutes to waste for you guys, but let's just access it and see what it does. Turn it on. The steering wheel is now going back to its original position, and the seats are now reclining. Oh wow, this is nice. This is really nice. So if you're just waiting for someone, maybe you're picking someone up, or maybe you just want to relax for a bit, when you turn on rejuvenation mode, it activates the massaging seats. I can sit back here, relax, recline. Now, more importantly though is going to be your digital gauge cluster, because from this cluster you're going to have a waterfall design, and then also in the infotainment system it's also got that waterfall design as well. So I'm just surprised there's no birds chirping, no waterfall sound effect, because that would just be serene. And then the last icon on the left will allow you to configure what you see for that 48-inch curved screen. So you're going to have the ability to drag and drop different widgets here. So if you don't want to see your fuel economy statistics, you can just put in your tire pressure monitoring system, or your trip computer, or weather. So this screen isn't going to be super in-depth or intuitive like you're going to find in an Audi or Porsche product, but you are going to have this ability to customize the layout and gives you a futuristic experience, which I think is more than enough for a lot of vehicles in this market. Now, in placing the Nautilus in reverse, you are going to receive a rear backup camera with trajectory and also top view camera as well. Naturally, your eye's going to look at the infotainment system, but those camera angles are going to be on that 48-inch curved screen, which is a bit of a surprise. However, if you want to customize what you see with these camera systems, you can do so through the infotainment system. So dual functionality there, that's pretty unique. Continuing on towards the center console, you will have your gear selector here, which we're seeing a lot more of in the Lincoln product line. Then for the center console, you will have buttons here for your auto vehicle hold, your max AC, your hazards, your park assist features, your camera angles. So with your camera angle system, you also got a front-facing camera as well. And then lastly will be your drive mode selector for normal, conserve, excite, slippery, and deep conditions, which shows heavy snow and sand. I don't think you'll be taking this to the desert, but if you do plan on doing so, you can probably go through with all of that, no issues with the all-wheel drive system. You're going to find your wireless phone charging pad here, which also aids in that wireless phone connectivity. You have 2 cup holders here, a USB-C and USB-A outlet. Then for the center storage compartment, there is enough room for some smaller items, maybe a couple smartphones, wallets, or other tech gadgets, 2 USB-C inputs, a 12-volt outlet, a cubby for your key fob, and then also the storage compartment for your cartridges for the smells. And I have to say, it smells really nice here, especially the violet cashmere. Smells really nice. And then lastly, to round out the front seating area, above will be a panoramic moonroof, which brings in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now, for passengers in the second row, they're not missing out on much either. In fact, in regards to interior dimensions, you're looking at right on 43 inches of legroom. 43 inches of legroom out of a vehicle of this size. It goes head-to-head with a Lexus RX, with a Cadillac XT5, or maybe even an Audi Q5. 43 inches of legroom, that's about 5 inches more than most vehicles in this price range. To put that into perspective, you can have taller passengers back here, and they won't be feeling cramped or claustrophobic. You can adjust the passenger seat all the way back and have it reclined, and you're not feeling cramped. You're not going to have your legs in the back of that seat. That is fantastic. This is perfect for those of you with growing families, and also for those of you who do have tall passengers sitting in the back on a regular basis. What you're all going to notice with the seats in front of you, there's 2 USB-C outlets on the backs of these seats. That way you can charge up your smartphones, tablets, or iPads. For me, though, it's the interior dimensions. The 43 inches of legroom is enough for me. I don't really care about the rest of the stuff that we have here today, believe it or not, because the interior space is what makes this vehicle very competitive and also compelling as well. Now, for those of you wondering, can you fit a third person in the center? I think absolutely, because the Lincoln Nautilus is rather wide, and also the center hump isn't that aggressive. So there's plenty of shoulder room, plenty of leg room, and really for a vehicle in this market, between $50,000 and $70,000, a lot of interior space, I think, is exactly what a lot of people are looking for. Also, even with the panoramic moonroof, and the factor from the outside, it looks like you have a lower roof line. I don't think taller passengers will be hitting their head on the headliner. Also back here, you will have two-level heated outboard seats and 2 air vents for the center console, so everyone should be nice and warm during the winter. And then to round out the second row seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Making our way around to the back one more time to take a look at the rear cargo area. By going with the Reserve, you are going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the second row seats, you're looking at right on 35 cubic feet of room, which falls right in line with many vehicles in this market. Now also, again, like I said before, with the exterior dimensions and also the interior dimensions, you have a lot of space here. This vehicle is actually quite practical. Even though the practicality aspect is going to be overlooked because of the interior technology and the luxurious aspects of this vehicle, if you're someone who does go on frequent road trips, you're constantly on the go, you're going to store a lot back here. You could probably have about 10 to 12 bags of luggage back here with no issues at all. Also, there will be side pockets, which are going to be fine if you have a couple water bottles, car detail equipment, or maybe even a first aid kit. Beneath the floor mat will be a spare tire, so if you encounter a flat on those road trips or travels, you can fix that and be back on the road. Now, on top of all of this, there is one feature that's not typically found in this market, especially for a 2-row crossover, but then also for a vehicle between $50,000 and $70,000. That's the power folding second row seats. Now, typically, you'd have to manually fold them, but that isn't the case here for the Lincoln Nautilus. Now, when those seats are folded, you're looking at right on 69 cubic feet of room, which again falls in line with many crossovers in this market. So if practicality but also luxury quality is what you're looking for, the Lincoln Nautilus is providing all of that. This isn't the first time I've checked out the Lincoln Nautilus. In fact, off camera about a year ago to this day, I got to experience a black label. I wanted to see what Lincoln is up to right now in the 2020s, because to me the Nautilus is revolutionary, not only technologically speaking and design-wise, but also Lincoln has a vehicle that's not currently shared with a Ford product that's sold in the US. That will be the Ford Edge, and the Ford Edge is sold in China only. So Lincoln has an opportunity to flourish and grow, and also to take on Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Audi, and Cadillac without having to think in the back of their mind saying, all right, how do we differentiate this model from a Ford Edge, from a Ford product? And that is going to allow this vehicle to really capture market share And in fact, this is now the best-selling model for Lincoln in the US, and I think for a great reason. One, you have the black label on the higher end, which is very well equipped, exclusive, and exactly what a lot of premium buyers are looking for. But I think it's the lower trims where this vehicle provides a lot of value. Now, we have the Reserve, which comes in at around $61,000, but for the Reserve 3, now you're looking at $69,000, so about $70,000 here. And this vehicle is primarily luxury. It's luxury all the time. Unlike what you're going to find from German competitors or European competitors, I would look at the Lincoln Nautilus as being a direct competitor to a Cadillac XT5, possibly a Lexus RX. And since you have the hybrid powertrain, you also have a vehicle that is efficient. So you have everything all under one roof. Now, in today's automotive market, conventional wisdom would suggest that you need an SUV to be somewhat sporty and engaging. But Lincoln is defying the odds here with this crossover by being full-on luxury, premium, and upscale. You're not going to find a lot of competitors like this that's so soft, quiet, and very comfortable, in fact. Now, we have larger tires here at 21 inches, and you barely feel it. And also with this suspension, with the platform, with the chassis, it is so refined where you're just gliding over the roadways, even up here in New England. Now, there's also another thing, too, I like about this model. It's the fact that the driving environment fits a vehicle of this price tag at $70,000, where you have the leather seats, you have the soft touch materials on the dashboard, the 48-inch curved screen here. This is what buyers want. They want that tech-focused experience. And Lincoln, I think out of most American manufacturers, are the only ones that are actually doing that right now. Typically, I wouldn't say that going with the hybrid powertrain is the best choice because the Turbo 4 with 250 horsepower, 275 pound-feet of torque would probably be suitable for a vehicle at around $50,000. However, this hybrid powertrain with the eCVT is buttery smooth, and to have 300 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, this is exactly the option I think a lot of you should be going for. And then, of course, with that fuel economy, this just makes a lot of sense. When you're on throttle, and I'm currently in sport mode, or excite mode as Lincoln calls it, it's quick. It's a very linear power band. And best of all, this powertrain is making no noise. There's no droning with the CVT. This is perfect. And because Lincoln is leaning heavily towards the luxury, upscale, premium buyer, having an SUV that doesn't feel agile or athletic is perfectly acceptable. But we're all going to find that out when we get on the highway here. And as we get on the highway here, in these corners, there's some body roll. And the steering input is actually really nice here. Let's see if we can pass this slower driver that's towing a boat. It puts the power down almost immediately. Very quick. At highway speeds, this cabin gives you an isolated experience. I mean, even with the 21-inch wheels, you're not hearing a lot of road noise. There's not a lot of wind noise either. And it's very quiet. It has a nice composure on the roadways. And I will say that for an SUV of this size, it does feel somewhat light on its feet. Which is probably why I feel as though when I'm going over imperfections or even just cruising along, I have a floating sensation here. Now with that though, you have an SUV that is going to be a great grand tour, or an SUV that is going to provide a lot of comfort for those longer road trips, weekday commutes. But this is not going to be the choice if you're someone who's looking for a sporty experience, for an SUV that's going to be carving up the corners and the back roads. And you feel that with that steering input. It's not going to be heavily weighted. It's not going to be like a Ford Explorer ST, but it is going to give you exactly what you're looking for out of a daily driver, out of a luxury SUV. Now, in regard to the overall vision being behind the wheel of this model, you have a nice panoramic view. A-pillars are somewhat aggressive, so you might have some blind spots here and there when you are approaching intersections or red lights. Taking a look at your side mirrors, they are a bit more aerodynamic, so you might have to take a few glances here and there when you are lane changing. And then looking out back with the headrest in the way, I can see what's directly behind me. Now, seat positioning wise, you do sit pretty high up in this model, but one thing I do like though, despite the fact that the suspension isn't sports tuned and you do feel as though you're gliding over the roadways, is that I don't really feel like I'm sitting on top of this SUV. I feel like I'm a part of it, which is exactly what I'm looking for. If Lincoln isn't going to give us a sports crossover or SUV at this price point and for a vehicle of this size, I at least want to feel as though I'm a part of the driving experience, and Lincoln's most certainly doing that. One thing I will say about the Lincoln Nautilus today is that there's something isolating about the driving experience that I can't quite put my finger on, nor can I fully describe. And between $50,000 and $70,000, you know exactly what to expect from most manufacturers, right? From European competitors, it's mostly a vehicle that does feel luxurious, but also sporty, agile, and athletic. Compare this to a Lexus RX or possibly a Cadillac XT5, and you can find some similarities. But I think the Lincoln Nautilus takes things beyond that, where there is a sense of relaxation being behind the wheel of this SUV. It's so soft, but also it's so quiet, where it does feel isolating, where, you know, even though you have other motorists on the roadways, you have wind noise or you have road noise, this is something that just, you kind of feel like you're in your own personal bubble, and not many manufacturers under $100,000 are providing that. I think you would have to spend over $120,000 to receive something quite like this. Everything from the docile powertrain to the interior insulation to the leather seats and beyond. This is something that truly has to be experienced in person to fully understand what the Lincoln Nautilus is offering. And like I said before, this is revolutionary for the brand, but I think it's also revolutionary for this market. I think you could cross-shop this with a Volvo XC60 or other Volvo products, kind of similar in that way. But for an American manufacturer, this is, in a way, in essence, redefining American luxury. And I'm going to go as far to say that the Lincoln Nautilus is the first American luxury crossover, aside from the Cadillac Escalade, that's worth buying in the 21st century. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick review for the 2025 Lincoln Nautilus. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.